Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio for the final time of the year. That was 2024. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, joined in studio today by Ray Ora,
Hey.
Jonathan Boyko,
And I forgot to focus Ray.
and Chris Carr is here.
Hi, everyone.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day for the last time of 2024. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about one and only topic today, although it's going to be an extensive one. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to be taking your live comments, questions, and topics. If you want to get a live comment, question, or topic sent in that we want to address, go ahead and send it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And as long as we deem it appropriate for us to address on the show, we'll address it in the second part of the show. But hey, listen, the good news is, even if you're listening to our show a little bit later in the day, maybe on our podcast feed on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. By the way, make sure you guys go and subscribe to our podcast feed. Even if you normally watch the YouTube videos, that way the audio feed is always there if you need it. Or if you're watching our show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still use this tip link. It's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Send on in a question. And if you send it in when we're not live, we'll just get around to addressing it on the next episode. All right. That'll down, guys. What a year. Like a lot of huge things in the world of movies. We finally got Deadpool and Wolverine. That finally happened. We finally got Kraven. That finally happened.
Wish we didn't.
Really?
Really wish they went, no, we'll keep that.
Getting ready to do my best films of the year list, which will happen sometime this week.
Okay.
We got a number of lists coming up in the next couple of days that are, traditional for the year, and we're going to have their best films of the year, most biggest surprise films of the year, but also which films are our top 10 most likely films of 2025 to make $1 billion, to join the $1 billion club. A lot of different lists coming up in the next couple of days. This is the time of year that we generally will do some lists. So we got those coming up, but we're going to start off that whole list thing today. Normally we do it last. This year, changing it up. We're going to talk about the worst films of 2024. Now, listen, there were some great movies this year. From Conclave to Dune to Wicked to Saturday Night to Anora. And it just, there's absolutely Deadpool and Wolverine. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous films this year. But in all things, there are balance, as Thanos would say. There have been some really bad ones. But I gotta say, there haven't been an abundance of movies this year that I positively hated.
Yeah.
Even on this list I have, I don't loathingly hate all of them. Some of them are just not good. You know what I mean?
I got a couple that I'm like, this fills me with white hot rage.
Yeah, I got a few of those.
Okay.
But it's not like my entire top 10 list. So I've got a few of my top 10 list here that are not necessarily burn these in the fires of hell, but just, I just didn't really like them. So we're going to get started off here. I'll give you my list. We're going to go around the room after that and get other films that everybody else wants to throw in on there. So we're going to start off here, guys, with my number. And my number 10 might surprise a lot of you because I think probably a lot of you like this movie. My number 10 worst film of the year is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I really enjoyed the first Jason Reitman Ghostbusters film, the previous one to this one. I thought that one was a delightful surprise movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. So I was very enthusiastic about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. A little concerned that Jason Reitman wasn't directing it himself. But still, he set the template for it. We're bringing back a bunch of the original Ghostbusters again, all that kind of stuff. Looked like it was going to be good. And I felt like it was more of a parody of a Ghostbusters movie, which in and of itself is somewhat of a parody. But I really felt like it was just kind of a bad, schlocky, slapstick parody of Frozen Empire, where there were never any stakes. The big bad guy made no sense. It's like, wait a minute, so he came back and froze those guys, and he's like, and it wasn't fun. The previous, Ghostbusters movies are supposed to be fun. The previous Jason Reitman one was super fun. I had absolutely no fun in it. The jokes didn't land. I think there were one or two pretty funny parts. So yeah, I just walked out of kind of going, I wish this movie didn't exist. Again, don't loathingly hate it. Don't feel like I need to feel bitterness that they wasted certain minutes of my life, but it was just, I kind of wish they never made it and that just kind of left it with the Jason Reitman one. But that for me is my number 10, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. All right. Moving on to my number 9.
Number 9.
Again, don't loathingly hate it, but Ricky Stenicki.
Oh yeah, I put that on mine too.
Oh my goodness. And this movie looked so funny. I love Zac Efron. I love him. I think he's a wonderful performer. I've really had John Cena grow on me, especially with him playing Peacemaker and all that kind of stuff. And he really is, he's found his groove in comedic roles. I think he's got great natural comedic timing. He's got great natural charisma. And the trailers looked hilarious. They looked so funny. I remember even talking about, like, why is this not one going to theaters? This looks hilarious. Oh, that's why it's not going to theaters. There are a few things as uncomfortable as watching a movie trying to be funny and it's not funny. And you're not only not entertained, you feel uncomfortable. You feel like, ugh, like I want to leave. I want to leave. Like when you're in the room when another parent catches their kid lying to them, it's like, I don't want to be here. This is kind of icky. Or your friend is hitting on somebody else when their girlfriend is there. It's like, it's uncomfortable. And just watching Ricky Stenicki from start to finish was just horribly uncomfortable. It was a movie that should have been great. Had all the potential to be great. Yeah. Like you were looking for, didn't you think the trailer looked good too?
Really, really excited about this one. And then it was just a little too, it was a little too ick all over.
Yeah.
I know that's not a great technical term for how I felt watching this, but it was just a lot of body humor, which I usually think is hilarious.
If it's funny.
Some of it worked and some of it I went, oh, no, thank you. And all of it just did feel very uncomfortable in a way that wasn't the same kind of weird uncomfort I like from shows like The Office.
Right.
It was that much more of a, oh, I want to just crawl inside myself until I implode like a dwarf star crumbling into dust.
Which can be overcome if it was funny.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny too? Because his character, John Cena's character, this isn't that far removed, and in its DNA doesn't feel all that far removed. What was the movie, the comedy they did just a couple of years ago where him, Couples Vacation?
Yes.
What was that? Was that the name?
Retreat?
Couples Retreat.
Something like that.
Couples Vacation. That had its upside. That movie was pretty fun. I didn't mind that movie at all. So I kind of thought like this was going to be kind of in the same vein, except the jokes just didn't land, and it was this one of the more Vacation Friends. Jedediah Elias. What are they? Vacation Friends was
sorry.
So my number 9 worst film of the year is Ricky Stenicki. All right. Moving on to my number 8. Again, one I don't think should burn in the pits of Hades, but
It wouldn't hurt.
it wouldn't hurt. Jerry Seinfeld's Unfrosted.
Aw.
You got to understand, I am a big Jerry Seinfeld fan. Not only did I love the show, Anne went to her first Jerry Seinfeld stand-up comedy show like 2 years ago. She had never seen Jerry Seinfeld do stand-up comedy. I thought I was going to have to resuscitate her. She was laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. We've gone to see him 4 or 5 times since. We'll go to Vegas to watch him. I love Jerry Seinfeld. I think he's absolutely one of the funniest, still to this day, one of the absolute funniest guys on stage. So when he said he was going to be doing this Unfrosted movie, I got really excited about it, and I thought the premise was really cool. And then I started hearing some bad things about it, and I'm just like, people just don't get Jerry. That's it. They just don't get Jerry. And then I sat down and watched it. I'm like, I don't know if this movie gets Jerry.
No.
I don't know if Jerry gets Jerry. I don't know if Jerry understands anymore why people love Jerry. Because nothing in this movie was funny. And it's so weird coming from a guy who is so incredibly funny. And you know what it reminded me of, Ray? Freaking Joe Coy's Easter Sunday movie.
You
Oh.
didn't like, you didn't
Another
like that?
guy who is so unrelentingly hilarious in his stand-up shows, because we've gone to a number of his stand-ups. He's amazing. And Easter Sunday was just garbage, so unfunny. And yeah, I don't know what happened with Unfrosted. I don't know if even Jerry Seinfeld actually had anything to do with making it. I wonder if he just lied saying he had anything to do with making of it and he didn't just show up and be in it, because he's so funny and this movie was not.
That's a shame because it's such an interesting topic. I was so excited to learn about Pop-Tarts. That sucks.
Oh, and that's the other thing about it, is that I thought this would be an actual look at the creation of Pop-Tarts
Right.
and the history of Pop-Tarts, but done from a really funny perspective.
Right.
It's totally fictional.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
I thought it was going to be along the lines of Tetris or
yeah, but
or
funny.
the
Like,
Flamin'
seriously
Hot.
Flamin' Hot, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Those
I
are
was
two
hoping
good
for.
movies.
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
I like
Those are
Flamin'
two
Hot.
good movies right
Yeah.
there.
Flamin' Hot was good, and I thought Unfrosted would be in that vein, but better because it's Jerry Seinfeld. And I just walked away from it insanely disappointed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Netflix.
So Unfrosted takes my number 8 worst film of the year. All right, now we're getting into the
Meat and
bitterness area. And we're getting into some
Sweet.
stuff that I'm kind of angry that I watched. But at number 7, worst film of the year, Borderlands. You know, there was a little bit. You know, I had some belief in this. I think there was a number of people who had some belief in it
Yeah.
because, look, listen, it's never a mistake to add talent. You added multiple Academy Award winners to this. I understand that Kevin Hart only has one shtick. I don't care. His shtick still works with me. I like his comedy. I like his humor. You had one of the maybe arguably a top 5 greatest actress of all time, and Kate Blanchett in there. You have a recent Academy Award winner with Jamie Lee Curtis in there. And, you know, I'm a big fan of the director. And so...
Even the game is pretty acclaimed. you
Yeah,
know, that it's based
yeah, that's
on.
what people tell me. I never played the game. But then there was like years of delays.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I was still at Collider when we broke news that
Yeah, we were.
they were making the Borderlands movie. And,
Yes, we were.
And then it just delay after delay after delay. And then finally it was coming out. And I didn't think the trailers were the worst. And I just watched it and I'm like, it just was so flat and made it like it never followed its own internal logic. And the action, there was one or two moments where the action was kind of interesting. But because the action scenes made no logical sense. Like, why are these guys there? And why are those people, chasing these people? When the logic doesn't work, action just becomes noise.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of it. So yeah, again, not my top 5 worst films of the year, but it makes my list.
In general, Lionsgate has had a tough year.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a
2024.
rough year for Lionsgate.
Yeah, this is one of their hits.
Yeah, one of the
One of the hits they took on the chin.
one of the reasons they'll look forward to putting 2024 in the rearview mirror. So my number 7 worst film of the year, Borderlands. All right. Getting closer to the top 5, but let's get on to number 6. My number 6 worst film of the year, Argyle.
Yeah.
You know, and a great trailer.
Such a good trailer.
Oh, a magnificent trailer with a magnificent cast, a magnificent director, a magnificent premise.
Mhm.
Everything was lined up to the
Yeah.
point that halfway through this movie, I'm like, am I in the wrong movie? Like this, Chris, this movie is garbage.
It's so bad.
So bad.
It's so bad. And I didn't think this was my Unfrosted, right? Where, because
Ooh.
I'm not as big of a Jerry Seinfeld fan as the rest of you. He doesn't really do it for me. This, I'm a fan of everyone involved. And I went, it can't be that bad. My friend, Mia Topalian, shout out, happy birthday, Mia. She's a New Year's Eve baby. She saw this and told me, I'm mad it exists. And it's proof that certain movies should never be made. And I was like, certainly not. It can't be that bad. It's the worst thing.
It's
so
and
bad.
it's got
the worst thing
got
Henry
my
Cavill's
boy
done.
Henry.
Yeah, I know.
It's
All-star
got
cast.
Henry in it.
All-star cast, everything.
Also Samuel L. Jackson, Bryan Cranston, Sam Rockwell,
Even John Cena's in it.
yeah,
Yeah,
John Cena's
yeah,
in there.
it is.
Academy Award winner. right over here.
Yeah.
Ariana DeBose. Like-
Howard's in it. Ariana DeBose.
Like,
I mean, it's
everyone's in it.
top to bottom, an amazing cast. And the first 10, 15 minutes of it are it's like, okay, here we go. And it's like, what? Wait, what?
Oh.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I got a question for you.
All right.
Argyle with the all-star cast or Gangster Squad with the all-star cast? Which one would you watch second 2 times? Or
Gangster
at least another
Squad.
Gangster Squad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a horrible one with
I
an
was
all-star cast. But
I was looking
this,
forward to that movie too.
I just couldn't get over. There hasn't been a movie in a while. You might have to go back to Gangster Squad. There hasn't been a movie in a while where my expectations and then what I felt about the movie, how I thought I would feel about the movie, and then how I ultimately felt about the movie were so far separated. Like there have been other disappointing movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, things like that. But those are ones like, I was kind of thinking I would like it this much, and then I only liked it this. But with Argyle, it's like this. And when it got to the point, I'm sorry, but maybe as a Canadian, when they put on ice skates and they're acting like they can skate across steel just because there's some oil on the ground, I'm like, no,
It was very thick oil.
no. And maybe that's, but every twist, because they threw about 4 or 5 twists. There wasn't just one twist.
Yeah.
They threw 4 or 5 twists at you, and none of them made sense. None of them logically added up to anything. It was so bad. The action wasn't good. The thrills weren't good. It's hard to say even if the performances were any good because it was just such a bad project they were all in. So yeah, I got to say my number 6 worst movie of the year, movie I was so excited about and I thought looked so good, was Argyle. All right. Now let's crack into the top 5 here, shall we?
Yeah.
My number 5 worst film of the year, The Strangers Chapter 1. Now, look, to be fair, remember I was just talking about Argyle, how I thought how much I was going to love it versus, I didn't think I would, nothing about the trailers or anything made me think I was going to love this movie. Like I didn't go in with high expectations at all. I don't know that I've seen a movie with more unlikable, unsympathetic, dumber characters in a long time than I've seen this. And the whole time I'm watching it, I can't remember if I was talking to you about it. I'm like,
Probably were.
why would I care? Why would I care about any of this that's going on the screen? It's just so badly conceived, so badly executed. I know this is one you didn't like either.
Oh, it's one of the ones that made me so angry. There's only 2 movies that made me really angry. That's Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
But not because you hated it.
Not because it was just because of the guy in there.
Abusing the animals.
villain, yeah. And Strangers Chapter 1. If my face could turn red, it would have been red. Both those movies. Yeah, I hated this movie. It just pissed me off so much.
Now we haven't talked about it, but I'm gonna guess Chris took a skip on this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is not your kind of movie.
To be clear, my most hated movies of the year, most of the things I hate probably are not even going to be on my list because I refuse to go see them.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
you would've-
subject myself.
You would have hated
Yeah,
this.
I
This
don't like
one,
spooky stuff, and also
This
like
wasn't
home
spooky.
invasion.
This was
things
just
are
infuriating.
Stupidity.
Yeah.
It's just
Stupidity.
infuriating.
Just-
But I don't even know why this is a franchise because the very first The Strangers or whatever, I was just like wanting to pull my hair out.
Yeah.
At the stupidity of the people, the refusal to survive.
Well, listen, I mean, okay, she's from Riverdale. Worse things have happened at school. She probably was just like, this is par for the course. Poor Cheryl Blossom. She's been through a lot.
yeah. I mean, it's just okay. So take all that out of it too. Pure filmmaking, terrible, just terrible filmmaking. And like, John, could you do any better? Well, I'm not the standard of excellence.
Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, my number 5 worst film of the year, not my most disappointing movie of the year, because again, I didn't have high expectations, but is Strangers Chapter 1.
Oh,
All right.
Another Lionsgate film, huh?
Was Strangers Chapter 1 another Lionsgate
I'm
one?
trying to look it up right now. I believe
It
says
feels like a Lionsgate one. Anyway. All right, let's move on.
It feels like a lion.
It feels like a Lionsgate.
You don't want.
I say that as I like Lionsgate. Let me be clear. I like Lionsgate. Okay, it just was a rough year for them. That's all. All right. My number 4. Now we're getting into the cream of the crop, or the
Creme de la creme.
the shit stains at the bottom of the toilet, whichever one you want to
man.
go. My number 4 worst film of the year. Joker Folie à Deux. If there was a competitor against Argyle for how much I thought I was going to love a film versus how much I ended up hating it, it's Joker 2. In every way that the first Joker was brilliant and insightful and gave sharp commentary and keen observations and societal observation and all that kind of stuff, Joker 2 shit on it. It was just, it was dumb. Like, whereas the first Joker movie was incredibly smart, the second one was just incredibly dumb. It's like, that makes no sense. That certainly makes no sense. I was one of the guys who was behind the idea of them making a musical out of it. I said, that's creative. That's different. Yeah, that go. But the music in it was awful. Every time they did a musical number, it just screamed the movie to a halt. You'd think, and then as you're going through this horrible, dreadful movie, you're just hoping, well, maybe we'll get to this big payoff at the end. And the ending might have been arguably the worst part about it. Like, none of the dialogue was interesting. None of the things that happened were insightful. It never made me think about grander picture things as allegories to the society we live in, like the first one did. It was a movie that literally had nothing to say and nothing to offer. And by the end of it, I was just angry that I had wasted so much time sitting through it. And again, I say this as somebody who absolutely loved the first one and was very, very excited for this one, but it just was a giant ball of crap. How this movie even has a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes is absolutely beyond me.
Let's go find those people.
This could probably fall into your most disappointing movies of 2024 as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of
oh yeah, because again, I was excited for this film. I was straight up super excited for this movie, and it just delivered a big stocking of coal and herpes. So it's just
And
awful.
herpes?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is
Santa
there
Claus is
physical-
updated.
How do you watch movies? Don't answer, actually. Nope.
yeah,
Doesn't
no,
just
I
leave
don't-
coal in the stockings
I
anymore.
don't want to know what happens at the AMC now.
Big
Very
sock of
concerned.
herpes waiting for you.
Kane Legion in the chat called it fully a doo-doo, which I think is brilliant. That is peak
Yeah,
comedy,
that is
and I
pretty
appreciate you,
good.
Kane.
Yeah. So anyway, my number 4, and it's funny because as much as I hated this movie, I'm surprised there are 3 that I hated even more.
Ooh.
Like, it's kind of crazy that there's not just 1, not 2, but 3 movies I hated even more than this bag of crap.
Congratulations, 3.
So
Yeah,
coming
you
in
did
number
it.
4,
You did
Joker
it.
Folie à Deux.
Can't wait.
All right. We move now into the 3 movies that I think are even worse than Joker Folie à Deux. At number 3, the coveted number 3 spot, the bronze medal position.
Yeah.
Bronze, here we go.
Madam Web.
Ooh.
Yeah.
One of the worst
Yay.
films I've seen in so long.
Please come up to the stage,
Come
Madam
up
Web.
to the podium, Madam Web. Take a bow, and take your medal, and shove it somewhere, because this movie, I mean, we've talked enough about Madam Web. There's nothing I can say now about Madam Web that we haven't already said before. It is one of the most nonsensical, completely illogical. None of it made sense. None of the character decisions had any thing. And as it turns out, like, the main hero is really just an awful jerk in the first place. Even the main hero is just a real asshole.
and the voice of that god-awful villain.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that horrible ADR work.
ADR,
they did on it,
yes.
too. Goodness gracious.
Oh, my God.
We need to kill these girls who will grow up and kill me someday in my apartment. Could you just move apartments? Nah.
He's in New York and he's rent controlled.
That's
my
right.
headcanon.
I need to get my mind around that. It's very hard to find a good apartment. And
It's hard.
that was a nice apartment.
It was really
A
nice.
very good apartment.
Oh my gosh, with his weird spider terranium? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And all the Spider-Man,
Love it.
look,
Great piece of real estate.
Women love spider terrarium.
we're not
Oh
going to
man,
do a
if you want a real panty dropper, get you a spider terrarium. Goodness gracious.
These are my spiders.
And you have to introduce them like, these are my spiders.
like that's Chris Carr's catchphrases on What's not? What's
Oh
gonna-
man, we really need like a Redbubble shop or something
Oh.
just for horrible T-shirts for me to
This is
sell.
coffee, by the way.
This is definitely coffee.
So yeah, again, we won't do a full post-mortem on Madam Web again. We all know how we've talked about so much this year. It's such a terrible movie, and it's not in the top 2. It's not even in the top 2.
Yep.
So let's move on. The number 2 worst film of the year, and I can't believe if you had gone back to when I watched this movie and told me it wouldn't be number 1, I'd be like, I'm just not going to watch any more movies then this year because I can't imagine a film being worse than this. And that film was Rebel Moon Part 2,
Oh.
The Scar Giver.
Yeah. It definitely gives scars.
It gave mental
Mental and
emotional scars. It is one of the worst films. This is what I would have said at the time. One of the absolute worst films I've ever seen.
I got on with BetterHelp after I watched it.
Come on.
I somehow managed to top the awfulness of Rebel Moon Part 1, which came out in 2023 and does not qualify for this list. I see some people in the live chat saying, well, it was a Star Wars ripoff. That's fine. Be a Star Wars ripoff, but be a good Star Wars
Yeah,
ripoff.
man.
In movies that I love, I like to go through the list of the pros and the cons. In movies that I dislike, I like to go through a list of the pros and the cons. Guys, there were no pros. There's not a good thing about these movies. They are incompetent drivel at every imaginable level. It's just one of the most painful, awful, terrible movies ever made. And I hate saying that because it comes from a filmmaker who's only ever made one, other than the Rebel Moon movies, who's only ever made one other movie that I really didn't like. That was Sucker Punch. Other than that, I've literally liked to loved every other movie he's ever made. And so Rebel Moon was coming, and I got excited for it because I even like his zombie movie, Army of the Dead.
Oh, Army of the Dead is fun.
I had a really good time with Army of the
I had
Dead.
to like cover my eyes for parts of it, but it's a fun
Yeah.
movie.
I mean, was it Shakespeare? No.
No.
But it was a fun movie. And I'm like, hey, now if you can take that and move it into a sci-fi genre kind of thing, even if it is a Star Wars ripoff. And I'm not really, it's more of a Battle of the Stars ripoff than anything else. But that's fine. It could have been really fun. And I watched, I'm like,
Well, the fact that you watched part 2 after seeing part 1 is you deserve a medal.
that was just like the completionist in me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. We need an ending.
Yeah.
Or I got to see, it can't be as bad. It can't be as bad. And somehow he made it worse. Like really. And I remember they had plans. They had plans for this to be a whole full cinematic universe.
Oh, please,
They were
please.
going to do all this stuff with
I hope
it.
they do.
And it's just burn it with fire. Just burn it with fire. Let's never talk about this again. And it just didn't work.
As this should come to a surprise for no one, but Logan liked part 1. I was like, this is fun.
Wait a
kind
minute.
of
Are you
did.
serious? Logan liked part
liked
1?
part 1, and I knew
was
you would say
okay.
you kind of did because
It
you
was
both have
okay.
the same taste.
Right.
And so then he was like, part 2, it's going to be even better. And even he was like, this movie is such dog shit. I can't believe it was ever made. The fact that there were just rookie camera mistakes too, or things like, hey, I don't want to do multiple shots, so let's just put everyone sitting on one side of a table like the Last Supper.
Oh, I remember. I remember I said that out loud when we
Yeah.
were watching. Like, why are they all sitting like that?
There's just so many moments in it of, is this your first film at film school? I don't understand what's happening because I've
Do they-
seen you do movies.
Do
Zack
they just
Snyder.
inverse the action shot? So it's like, well, people are going that way. Now they're going
Then
that
they're
way.
here.
He had a huge
All
budget
the-
for this too, right?
The slow motion
big budget.
hail baying. Why was there so much slow mo? It made it so much longer.
Oh yeah, like this movie would have been a good 45 minutes shorter if you
Yeah.
took out the slow mo. You know what's funny too about all that is that Zack Snyder, love or hate Zack Snyder, one of the things you cannot. He is a really good visual storyteller.
Yes,
Sure he is. Of course he is.
Visually,
Great.
he's great.
one of the best.
Even in the movie that I hated of his, Sucker Punch, visually it's beautiful,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
engaging,
yeah.
and interesting to look
It's a
at and watch.
Stunning film.
Beautiful looking
Plot-wise, it's
film.
kinda-
I know Rob loves his action figures.
This is true.
Yeah, Anyway, my number 2 is Rebel Moon. All right, just to recap.
Oh boy.
Number 10.
Yeah.
Ghost. Again, not loathingly hate it down at the bottom. It's just I didn't like him. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire.
All right.
Ricky Stenicki at number 9.
These are
At
the good
number
ones.
8 was Unfrosted. At number 7 was Borderlands. At number 6 is Argyle. At number 5, The Strangers Part 1. At number 4, Joker Folie à Deux. At number 3, Madam Web. At number 2, Rebel Moon. And this is the most anticlimactic thing. Y'all know what's going to be at number 1.
Wow.
Craven.
It actually hit number 1, huh?
It hit number 1. This is
Wow.
the worst movie I've seen in years. In years. It doesn't quite crack my unholy trinity of the 3 all-time worst big Hollywood studio wide release films ever, which are, again, in no particular order, Battlefield Earth, Highlander 2, and Catwoman. It doesn't quite join that list, but it might. I'm not sure. I'd have to sit down and do the maths. It might be in my top 10 of the worst films ever made.
Oh, wow.
It is a movie that when I walked out, I still said, I don't know what this movie was about. Because it seemed even like the filmmakers didn't know what it was about. It kind of like, in the first 15 minutes, they kind of thought the movie was going to be about one thing. In the second 15 minutes, it was kind of a movie about something else. In the third 15 minutes of the movie, no, the focus is over here. This is what's going to be about. And by the end of it, it's just like, I just followed along on this trail of stupidity that ended into a big nothing, hernia sandwich. There is nothing fun about it, nothing good, nothing logical. There was one interesting action, not a bad action sequence where he's chasing a car on foot and that turns into chasing a helicopter. And that sequence wasn't bad. I got to give credit where credit's due. That sequence wasn't bad. Nothing else made sense.
How was all the John Wick promised action, like the trap set in the forest and all that stuff?
Not good. Dull, boring. God, it's just so bad. It's just, again, it's another one of these situations like Madam Web where I have talked so extensively in the last number of weeks about Craven, because also I'm a little bit angry about it. Because I was one of the few guys in the world that was defending this film before it came out, telling people, no, I think y'all are sleeping on Craven.
If you review the tapes, we were oddly all very silent every time you said that. We're just
I think they got something with Craven here, guys.
I think my sound clip each time was, and I'm really happy you feel that way.
Just
really
like,
hope it's
yeah,
good for you.
guys, just, I really think we might be sleeping on this film.
We all smelled the doo-doo, except you.
Ricky Tikki Tacky wouldn't steer us wrong. It's going to be all right. And it's like,
I just hope Ricky Tikki got a good payday for this.
Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of people had a good payday in all these movies, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody got paid.
Yeah.
I didn't get paid to watch it, which I feel like all of us around the world who went to go see it are owed something.
Nice.
And it's really too bad because, again, even after watching this bag of slop, they picked the right guy to play Craven.
He was the one guy committed to the film.
Yeah, like he's the right guy to play Craven. He was the right casting choice. They just built a horrible movie around him. And it really, one of the really unfortunate things is we're never going to see him as Craven again. Like, that's it. Like, of course he'll never do this again. And it really sucks because he could have been a great Craven if they just put a movie around him.
I wonder if these actors have created a support group where they get together and they sit around in a circle and talk about the traumatic...
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, you got everyone.
Offers them a line from her bowl.
Jared Leto, he's oddly still in character, but he's part of the support group. Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal.
They should still do a crossover with all them.
Oh, God.
Next year. Come on.
Just call it crossover.
You know what? The only time I could see that maybe happening is, and I mean this honestly, is if maybe sometime in the near future, because remember, Aaron Taylor Johnson's got 28 Years Later coming out. He's got Nosferatu out right now. He's got a lot of stuff he's doing. If sometime in the near future he's hosting Saturday Night Live and they do a sketch.
Oh, right.
Oh, they have
And he
to.
just gets on the
they
phone with
definitely
Jared
have
Leto and Dakota Johnson and whatever to kind of show up as all the unwanted heroes.
Yeah.
That could be funny. I'd like that. So, yeah, my number one, again, is Craven. But really, all the ones in the top 5, could make an argument to be in the number one spot. But yeah, again, my number one is going to be Craven. So Chris, that's my list.
Yes.
You got some films that you would add to this cacophony of glory?
I sure do, John.
Wonderful.
All right. I would also add to this list Miller's Girl. The
Oh,
film
that
with Martin
was
Freeman and
Yep.
Jenna Ortega. That had such promise, and boy howdy, what a snooze fest. They didn't have chemistry. Martin Freeman is honestly wasted in this film. Jenna Ortega is very just stiff in this in general. It promised to be this kind of erotic cat and mouse thriller, and it is none of those things. Also, weirdly, it should be so easy to paint him as the villain in this because of the power dynamic, and they fail. Like, it's very strange.
Wow.
I also have Netflix's Atlas with J-Lo.
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
Mine are going to be a lot of Netflix
Forgot
movies. 'cause
about
I
that
know that I
one.
You know
usually go
what? That
watch more
one
than
might have
those.
bumped Ghostbusters off my list
Yeah,
if I had
'cause
thought
that
about
one
it.
is pretty rough. I really wanted to like this one because Simu Liu is in it, and I love him, and I want him to have outstanding vehicles to be in. This was not it. Sterling K. Brown is in this as well. Wasted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just not a good film.
This was one, that I felt like, oh, this could have a lot of potential. And it's cool she's getting back into acting. And I was like, oh.
doesn't really deliver. So there's that for me.
Especially
Another-
after coming off the one where she's the stripper.
Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but she's so good in it.
With the girl from Crazy Rich Asians.
It is Hustlers.
Hustlers.
Yeah.
That one was so good.
That
and
movie
she
is
was so
incredible,
good
and
in
she's
it.
incredible
Yeah.
in it. So I was hoping for bigger and better from her. Not so much here. Then we have another Netflix film, Uglies. This is
I took a pass on it.
Oh, and you were so smart too. YA novel adaptation that completely misses the mark. It is so cheesy. It is so poorly made. The acting is pretty abysmal in it. No.
This is the one
and
where
this
it's
was
like
part
you
one.
take a drug and it makes you attractive, right?
Oh, you go through a full plastic surgery thing
Oh, to be pretty.
to be pretty, and then
Okay.
you're allowed to be part of society. But you
Oh.
also are mindless and vapid once you become pretty. And so
And let me guess, the people who don't go through the procedure are the uglies?
yes.
Ah, I see. I see how the wires connect.
It's so great when they're like, let's take a metaphor, but just not do any metaphor work. Let's just lean into how absolutely on the nose we're going to be about something here. Again, you guys already know I didn't love Drive-Away Dolls. I felt like it was a really great first draft.
Yeah,
that
it
needed
wouldn't be on
more
my
work.
list, but it's one that I was really
Just
disappointed with.
filling it out, I went,
didn't
oh, I
like it.
had such high hopes for this, and this really, really bums me out. So that's one that was just kind of I wish this was better. But the movie I absolutely hated this
Oh.
year. The movie that I went, oh God, why did I watch this? There was only one redeeming moment, and it was the way Willem Dafoe clenches his jaw in one scene. Kinds of Kindness. Kinds of Kindness is the worst film I saw this year, and I loved Poor Things. I think that film is brilliant. This was not it. This was so bad. It's a bunch of vignettes that are supposed to be telling some kind of story about relationships and power, and it just does not deliver in a way that is good, satisfying, or interesting. It feels very subversive for the sake of being subversive.
But I didn't even find it to be subversive.
No.
Like and coming off of what they did with Poor Things, I expected kind of that same, lens, but just put in kind of a different context
Yeah.
and tell a story. And I remember I saw the trailers and I was like one of the only, I was going, this doesn't look good.
Yeah,
And people were
that's
telling me
what
I was
gonna-
crazy. I said, no, John, this is an artistic trailer. I'm like, all right. I just don't think the trailer looks very good. And it's funny too, because after it came out, nobody talked about it.
No.
It's just nobody talked about it. It's like, let's just forget that one happened because we love these guys.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
again,
Because-
not enough for me to be on my list, but I also really
Oh,
didn't like
that
it.
one-
Because the Oscar
Hate
buzz right after the previous one went with
With Poor Things.
Poor Things. They're like, and she's teaming up again. Let's see if they can repeat. And everyone's
Exactly.
like,
And then it was, no, he can't. And then I know this isn't what the list is about, but my most overrated film this year is Challengers.
I quite liked Challengers.
I feel like it's such a nothing burger of a movie.
Yeah, I could see why. Ray, you say something there?
Oh no, I was just gonna say what's your worst movie of the year?
Kinds of Kindness.
Kinds of
Yeah.
Kindness. It could be the worst movie as well as the worst trailer for 2024. That trailer sucked to me.
I hated the trailer. I'm like trailers are supposed to sell you on a movie, and I'm like,
not confuse you.
yeah, it's like
She's driving.
This movie did not motivate me. Oh, she pulled into a motel parking lot. None of the marketing made me elevated my desire to go and see it.
Exactly.
I just watched it because it was the people who made Poor Things, and Poor Things
Right.
was great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You guys got anyone you want to add to the
Well, I'm
list?
surprised none of you guys brought up. I haven't seen it, so I'm just gonna bring it up. None of you guys saw Megalopolis?
I did.
I didn't.
It was a mess. But here's the thing about me, because I had a few people writing to me thinking I would put Megalopolis on there. The thing is, there was so much artistic
Right.
merit to the movie, I think. Enjoyable? No. One of the worst films of the year? I can't say that because I thought there was enough interesting things in it that did not save it from being a bad film.
Right.
It's a bad film. But left me going, like, by the end of it, I didn't regret that I watched it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, this wasn't good, but man, you got a guy who's got a real vision in there making it. It just didn't quite work out.
Because for me, Megalopolis, just even the trailer, just the visuals actually had me interested. If you muted it, I would have probably went to go see it. It's just everything. I just didn't end up seeing it.
Well, that's how I am with
still
Sucker
do-
Punch. Just
I still
mute
do
it
wanna
and
see
watch
it.
Now,
the
a
best
few
way to
people in the
watch
live chat have brought up The Crow.
Oh.
The Crow, again, not a good movie. Bad movie. But here's the thing. The violence in it was really good.
Yeah.
I thought the action stuff in it was actually pretty. I mean, the action in The Crow was significantly better than the action in Kraven the Hunter. And I think just the action itself, and Skarsgård's a pretty dynamic actor. I actually quite liked his performance in the movie. So, did I think The Crow was a good movie? No. But it wasn't bad enough to be on my list because to me there was just too many redeeming things about it
Oh,
for me to put it in. What?
did Expendables 4 come out in 2024? No, right?
I
Or
thought
did-
that was 2023.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
pretty
So
sure.
close.
But you
It
know
was
what?
So close.
I straight up walked out of that.
Yeah,
movie.
so that's why I
double check the release date. 'cause
I'm
if
looking
it's-
now.
If it's 2024, I should have had it on my list, but I think that was 2023.
That's 23.
It was 23, yeah.
Yeah.
Or else I would have put that one on my
September of 23.
See, it was kind of
list. Now,
close.
here's one I want to give an honorable mention to.
Okay, yeah.
Honorable mention. Came really close. Like, I struggled with, do I put Ghostbusters Frozen Empire on this? Or do I put Beetlejuice on this?
Ooh.
And I opted with, I think I disliked Ghostbusters a little bit more, but I don't want people to think I left it off just because other people liked it. I acknowledge other people seem to really like Beetlejuice, and I'm glad that you did. But that's not why I left it off the list. I only left it off the list because I really thought I thought it was a little bit better than Ghostbusters, but Beetlejuice was one that I was really disappointed with. I thought that movie was quite bad. It's a bad film. It just totally terrible decisions. Things made no sense. I mean, and I'm somebody who is a fan of the first Beetlejuice, but so I left that one. I left that one off the list, but I wanted to give it a little bit of a honorable mention. Let me just ask in the live chat, guys, you got anything else you think should be thrown on this list that we should have thought about that were really, really bad? Thunderforce saying Blade. Yeah, well, terrible for not happening.
Oh, Jackpot?
Which one was? That's the
Aquafina.
Aquafina one.
Aquafina, Simu Liu.
Yeah.
You know what? I just didn't watch it.
I didn't watch that one either.
Despite the fact that I love the people in it, I
Yeah.
didn't watch it, so I can't really say anything about that.
Civil War popped
A lot
up.
of people like Civil
I
War.
feel like that's
It's not the movie I was expecting, but
No,
I did enjoy
I enjoyed
Civil
it,
War.
though.
Nobody in the chat is saying Red One for sure.
Yeah, someone just said Red
yeah,
One.
but
But like,
yeah.
what I was going to say.
Actually,
it.
You watched it?
Yeah.
I liked it too.
It's
A level
fun.
4
I like the ending
naughty
so
lister?
much.
It's real fun.
a bunch of people saying Venom 3. I didn't like Venom 3, but I didn't think it was all that bad. To
I
be
wouldn't
honest
put
with
it
you.
in a top 10.
No, I definitely wouldn't put it in the top 10. Like, so again, I was disappointed in it. I didn't like Venom 3, but it wasn't that bad.
I will say,
level
of the movies
4.
I just saw recently, and it was the one you haven't seen yet, The Brutalist, it's not going to be for everyone. And here's the thing, because
Well,
it's
no
3
4-hour movie is.
because it's almost 4 hours, so you really feel like you've invested something you kind of want to pay off. The first half, the reason why I can't give it a terrible is the first half was Chef's Kiss.
Uh-huh.
be clear, the directing and acting throughout is premiere. The first half of the story is Chef's Kiss. First 2/3, 2 hours and 20 minutes. If you were to mix all that into that Chef's Kiss, it's good.
Okay.
The last hour and 10, to me, it just falls apart and gets like more and more of a downer and a downer and a downer. And then they try to do this epilogue where in like 4 minutes, they like, and then this happened and it's all great. It's like the amount of time I invested in this is not what I thought was going to be happening from the like greatness and overcoming,
Oh.
poverty and racism and all this stuff to become this great whatever. It's like you don't get any of the payoff, and you've spent almost 4 hours, and you're just like, I feel like I've been beaten.
I just look at my bank account for 4 hours.
So buyer beware, because you may love this movie. You may. I give it a C because of that.
Okay.
But just buyer beware on a
4
very long
hours
movie.
is a long
And that's the funny
time.
thing, because I have not had the time to go see The Brutalist yet.
But his performance, I will say his performance throughout, is great. The directing and the
he's
acting is great.
incredible.
Well,
It just beware, it's not going to go where you think it goes.
I'm really looking forward to talking about the best films of the year.
Yeah.
That I think I was going to do it Thursday. I'll wait till you're here.
Yay!
We'll do it. We'll do
I
best.
want to talk about Night Bitch.
Okay, so
Which is streaming like right now.
It's so good.
Let me bring this up. What would have come out this month would have been Coyote versus Acme,
Oh wow.
December.
Really?
El Muerto, and Salem's Lot. So a couple of those may have been added to this list. if
Salem's
they
Lot
came
went
out.
to streaming.
Yeah.
yeah, Sam's Lot ended
Right.
up going to streaming, so it could have been on this list.
The year that could have been.
But was this the month that El Muerto was supposed to come out?
Oh wow.
I still remember us sitting in the auditorium at Caesar's Palace at CinemaCon when Bad Bunny came out,
Booney.
and they were, ladies and gentlemen, our newest Sony superhero, El Muerto, Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny came out, and I'm like,
Sony would have had a back-to-back like quickly.
oh,
Do you
worst
imagine
movies.
if they
Thank
had
God
the
they pulled the
gall
plug
to
on that.
release that? It would have made like 30 million worldwide.
I mean, just because of the popularity of Bad, but we've learned that just taking somebody who's super popular in some other area and dropping them in a movie
Yeah.
does not mean that movie's going to make money,
Yeah.
right? And so there's that. But what was the other one?
Coyote
Coyote
versus
versus
Acme.
That was the
Acme.
big
Acme.
yeah.
That's one they still need to release, or someone needs to.
I would
But
I would like to see that.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I get it though. I mean, if all the producers and directors and actors signed a thing waiving any residuals and any payment, I'm sure they would put it out. Otherwise, it's just going to cost them money to put it out. So I can understand why they're not, but I do want to see that one. That's funny that this is the month that El Muerto was supposed to come out.
That's right.
I wonder if they'll ever try to revisit that. I mean, with somebody else.
Oh no, I
Surely.
think this whole thing is scrapped, right? With Sony, like
No.
all their side characters.
Oh no, they're going to
Oh,
make.
okay.
They're going to continue to make.
Well,
They
no,
have
but-
to
They're
keep
just
the
not
rights.
going to be doing 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah.
They want to put some quality control in it for once. So
Yeah. So
Pretty magical.
So like, yeah, we're going to do other lists. So obviously best of the year, we're now going to wait till Friday to do best of the year. But maybe in the meantime, we'll do most, I'm thinking, should I do most pleasant surprise, like best surprise movies of the year?
Ooh.
That one's
Or-
fun.
Because I think this applies to this year more than most. The best movies of the year that flopped.
That one's good too.
I think I've got time to do one of the two of them because I've got between now and Friday, I've got 3 lists I want to do. So we're going to do best movies of the year. I want to do the 2025 films most likely to make $1 billion. And then I either want to do best surprise or best movies of the year that flopped.
Maybe you could
So-
do
You wanna do a full?
5 for both of those. Just have it like a dual thing because.
Well, there'd be some crossover, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, true.
So I don't know. I'll think about that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What were some of your worst films of the year in 2024? I thought it'd be good to do that one first this year so we can kind of get out of the way and focus on more of the better films for the rest of the week. Do you like some of the films that I put on my worst list? Maybe there's some films that I left off. Whatever you guys think, jump down to their comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. By the way, somebody in the live chat is saying you should do the most underrated, best underrated films. Here's the problem with underrated films lists. Everybody's got a different definition
Right.
of what's underrated.
Right.
Yeah.
right? Everybody's got a different idea of what underrated is. So it doesn't really work that way. Anyway, all right, guys, we're now going to go on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your topics, your questions, your comments about the worst films of the year or whatever else. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Miracle Made and PrizePicks. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. Are you guys like me, both a movie and a sports fan? Well, if so, then you know that the playoffs are here and it's now or never. If you love football and want to add some real excitement to the games, let me tell you about PrizePicks, the best place for your daily fantasy sports. So here's how it works. It's super simple. You just pick more or less on player projections. Think Patrick Mahomes will throw more than 1.5 touchdowns this week, or maybe Lamar Jackson will get over 250 passing yards. Make your picks in less than a minute and take your shot at winning up to 1,000 times your cash. Ann and I have been having a blast using PrizePicks every weekend. It's simple, it's fun, and it just makes watching the games that much more exciting. Plus, PrizePicks puts you first. With easy, fast, secure withdrawals, you can get your winnings in as little as 15 minutes, and they make deposits even easier. And right now, if you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So don't wait. Download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after playing your first $5 lineup. That's right, play for just $5 and you get a $50 bonus instantly. PrizePicks, run your game. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made and PrizePicks for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff here, shall we? Your thoughts, theories, opinions, questions, and topics. So, Jonathan, what we got up first?
All right, Patrick with a $20 tip.
Oh, thank you, Patrick.
Says, hi, John and crew. Have you heard anything about Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots? They announced season 4 back in 2022, and I've heard nothing since. It seems like Tim Miller switched gears and moved on to Amazon's Secret Level, which looks very similar. Thanks.
I lost all interest in Love, Death, and Robots after season 1.
Yeah.
And listen, it's one of those things that really connected with some people, and that's great. I'm just not one of the people that it connected with. So it's complete, to be honest with you, it's completely off my radar. You had this similar experience with it?
Yeah, I watched the first season, and then certain ones I loved, certain ones I did not like, certain ones I hated. And after that, I just kind of fell off of it. It was a really fun experiment, and I loved seeing different creators kind of play with a theme. But yeah, it's just something I didn't revisit after that first season.
All right, what's next?
Jace with a $20 tip says,
Thanks.
hi guys, been a fan since AMC. I started this year in chemotherapy. And,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and your show gave me joy through hard times. Thankfully, I'm in remission
That's
now.
awesome, man.
Yep. In post-grad school for psychology and enjoying movies and TV with family and friends. Thank you and bring on the filthy. Congratulations.
Dude,
Congrats.
that's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
That's fantastic. And you know, I think one of the things that I love in this job the most, to be honest, is honestly messages like that. We do get these messages a lot from people who like face a hard time, whether they're in hospital or whatever, and tell us that they watched us to help them go through that process. And I will not get emotional, but that's one of the things that, if there's ever days I don't feel like doing my show, it's things like that motivate me to keep going, to be honest with you. So first of all, that's awesome news to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you to, who was our previous question? Patrick?
Patrick
That
as
was
well.
This
Jason.
one was
Patrick
Jace.
and
The previous
Jace,
one was
yeah.
Patrick. And big thank you to both of you guys for tipping in and supporting our channel like that on that level. It's incredibly generous of you guys, and awesome to hear about you being in remission. That is great to hear. And thank you for sharing that, dude. All right, what's next?
We got Alan, who says, "Happy New Year, Campea crew. Shrinking has become my favorite show. Would you, who would you say is your favorite character? I think mine is Derek, but I like them all. Really great cast. I hope Harrison Ford gets an Emmy nomination this season. He was fantastic."
This
It-
show.
It might be the best show on TV.
hmm
Did you watch the finale,
Oh yeah,
or at least the season
the
finale?
season finale. Yeah,
I
sobbing.
I was ping ponging between laughing hysterically and just like getting emotional,
Yeah.
and then when like the last thing happened at the train station, at first I thought this is gonna be cheesy if he shows up, and he did, and then I'm like, I'm getting kind of,
But they did it so well.
oh, and he puts his arm on his shoulder, and I'm like, oh god, this is, and then I'm like, fuck, am I gonna watch another episode for like 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 2-year gap between next.
I think there was a 2-year gap between the first two seasons. Anyway,
Might be.
so hopefully it'll come back much quicker. The magic of this show is every character is a 10 out of 10. Liz is a 10 out of 10 character. I forget the daughter's name.
Alice.
Alice is a 10 out of 10 character. Gabby is a 10 out of 10 character. Who's the best friend? Brian?
Brian. Yeah.
Brian is a 10
I love
out of
Brian.
10 character. And Derek, if they were to do a spin-off of any character, I would watch a show about Derek.
He's god tier.
He is
wonderful.
god tier. I love all of and of course Harrison Ford's character. I mean, it's Harrison Ford and Jason Segel's show.
Yeah.
And they're both brilliant and fantastic in it. I cannot talk enough about Shrinking, because not only is it hilarious and funny, but it speaks to our humanity. I very rarely have seen a funny show that so speaks to our humanity like this. Ted Lasso was kind of similar,
Yeah.
but I finally come to the conclusion I think this is a better show than Ted Lasso.
I think so too. I saw this really great post, and I'm so sorry I can't remember who did it, so I can't give them credit. But it was, I love that the thesis of Ted Lasso was, what if we lived life from a place of positivity, and that's the entire thesis.
Yeah,
Right.
which is beautiful.
And then the thesis of this show is, what if we allow ourselves to be loved when we are at our absolute worst? And I was just like, oh, that is what this is. And this show is so important because of that, of what if you still allow yourself to love people and love yourself when everything around you is terrible and you're terrible. And it's so profound. And I think it's the kind of show that people need right now too.
You know what's similar between Ted Lasso and where there's a magic in it? Listen, I love a great villain. I love a great villain. It's very, very important and great storytelling. But Ted Lasso, other than the jerk ex-husband,
Yeah, Rupert, he sucks.
there's no bad guy. Like, there's no villain. They kind of started to make Nate a villain, but then even him, he was sympathetic and everybody got turned around on
Yeah.
Nate. I still think that character should have died in a horrible car accident. But Ted Lasso and Shrinking, there's no villain. There's nobody they're fighting. It's just good people, maybe broken, just trying to be good people and trying to figure it all out. And there's something so magically refreshing about that. I know I go off on a tangent of Shrinking every day, but I'm not going to stop till everybody on the planet watches Shrinking. It's just so good. Anyway.
It's beautiful.
All right, what's next?
Jonathan says, "Hey there, John. I was browsing Prime Video earlier today and saw that there is a new Zorro show. I was
What?
just curious if you had seen it or the original movies that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. Thank you so much for your time."
Just a clarification, the original Zorros did not come out in the 90s. Just putting
The
that out
TV
there.
show, that was what, 50s?
Yeah, ages ago, like the Antonio Banderas movies and Anthony Hopkins and
Yeah,
Catherine
that
Zeta-Jones. Yeah, those were fun movies. Not all-time classics, but they
There
were
is a
fun.
new Zorro.
There's a new. I had no idea.
It's a series, actually.
Really?
Yep.
Is it an American series?
I was gonna say, I think we talked about this ages ago when they
believe
were
so.
talking about relaunching it.
I've
was-
seen
I'm on the
nothing
home
about
page.
it.
Years ago, we
Yeah.
brought it up. We were still in the old studio.
Yeah, Zorro started in 1957.
Okay, well,
That's
just
when we
for the
first started
record,
talking
Yeah.
about it,
no,
yeah.
I have not.
That's how long we've
I
been
have
here.
not watched any of this Zorro. I didn't even know there's anything out. So I'll go check out a trailer though.
There you go.
All right, what's next?
Rat Meaves says Andy Muschietti said Brave and the Bold has been postponed a bit. I don't know how long a bit is, but do you think this movie will come out before 27? If not, do you think Gunn won't want it to come out the same year as Batman 2 and release it in 28? I think it comes out before 27.
I think it comes out before 27. Being delayed by a bit doesn't really mean too
Yeah.
much. So we'll see. I don't think that means a year or anything like that. In an ideal world, you put out the Batman 2 and Batman Brave and the Bold in the same year. No. Is it really all that tragic if you put them out 6 months apart? Not really. I mean, you don't want to release one in March and one in April, but I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for them to do that. So, but yeah, I'm with Jonathan on this. I think it probably comes out before 2027. All right, what's next?
Okay, Rat is back. Says, hypothetical question. Someone offers you 3 brand new movies to watch, but you can only pick one. You know nothing about the movies, not the plot, cast, composer, etc. All you know is the director, Nolan, Spielberg, or Villeneuve. Who do you pick?
Spielberg. Yeah.
I'll go with Nolan.
I was a little shocked by that. And you both, well, I was going to say Villeneuve. Only because we know what Spielberg delivers.
Yeah.
And I want to see something new. And Villeneuve always brings such and so does Nolan. But just recently, Villeneuve has just brought us such greatness on screen that I go Villeneuve.
I would do Spielberg and hope
It's
that
a
he
safe.
gave me
I agree.
Tintin too.
While I agree, it is probably the correct answer because you're almost guaranteed is safe.
Yeah.
But I'm going Villeneuve.
But I think the main reason that I go Spielberg over 2 other guys I completely worship as filmmakers, Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, maybe the 2 hottest guys in the business right now. The reason I go Spielberg is because unlike Nolan, unlike Villeneuve, unlike almost everybody, Spielberg does every kind of film.
Yeah, he's dynamic.
And every kind of film, the best they've ever been done. Want to do sci-fi films? I'll make the most classic all-time greatest sci-fi films. Want to make this kind of film? I'll make one. You want to do a period piece? I'll make 5 of them that get nominated for Best Picture. So he can do period piece, drama, sci-fi, fantasy, what it does. So I'll pick the Spielberg movie because who knows what you're going to get. Are you going to get a comedy? Are you going to get a musical? Are you going to get a heavy drama? Are you going to get a sci-fi action epic? Are you going to get this? You're going to get that? You just don't know. And with Nolan and Villeneuve, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to get a great movie. But you also kind of generally know what kind of lane you're going to be in, right? And with Spielberg, it would be a surprise. Who knows what you're going to get? But that's just me.
Adolfo says, hello, John and crew. Love the podcast. I'm 23 years old, and for a while I was stuck on what I wanted to do with my life. Up until recently, I decided I wanted to pursue a career in VFX.
Nice.
However, I don't know where to start with any advice on how to get started.
Well, whenever it comes to anything like that, the first piece of advice I always give is the one nobody wants to hear. Go to school for it.
Yeah, that's...
Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody wants to hear download this video and learn and this magical program. That's what everybody wants to hear. But honestly, as somebody who worked in a visual effects company, who worked with some of the great visual effects artists, they always said this the piece of advice they would always give everybody, these artists that I worked with, the advice they always gave everybody was that go to school for it. Find a good program. Well, first of all, make sure you're pretty good at art already. These guys, Trevor and Shannon were their name. And they were a brother and sister duo who ran this company that I worked with. And they were just incredible artists. And one of the things they would always tell people is, don't think the software is just going to make you good. Whenever they would interview people, it would always be sketch something. So work on your art, all that kind of stuff. And then find a good program. There are programs out there. I know that's not the answer anybody wants to hear, but the right answer is take courses on it. Much like if you want to be a voice performer, seek out a program.
Yeah.
Like Chris Carr's.
Oh man, I appreciate that because I get so many DMs, and thank you guys for that. But it's, how do I get a job as a voice actor? And when I do that, well, you take a class and you start studying and you start working with people. And it doesn't have to be with me, but find a teacher that you love, you can really benefit from. Take acting classes. And then 9 times out of 10, it's, no, but just get me a job.
Yeah.
If
No,
I
you
could,
don't. You don't.
Yeah,
get it.
why wouldn't
What
you
if
just
you're really
get
good?
yeah. What? If I could just be like, hey, put me on Looney Tunes. Bye.
You know,
Yeah.
that it's the same thing I get for like doing YouTube stuff because I've said this before, but like everybody, it is without fail, 99 times out of 100, when people want to ask me for advice about YouTubing and growing a podcast, stuff like that, 99 times out of 100, it's always the same first question. How do I grow? Never asking me, how do I get better? Never asking me, what are habits I should develop to improve my content? Everybody wants to know, what's the magic button to get numbers?
Yeah.
What's the magic number to grow? It's like, do you think, and people get discouraged and they think I'm trying to give them a hard time, and I'm not, when I say, okay, I haven't seen your YouTube channel. You have. When you look at your YouTube channel right now, is it as good as you possibly think your YouTube channel can be? Because here's the thing about your YouTube channel. If you have mediocre crap on your YouTube channel right now, what's the point of bringing in 25 new viewers if they're going to come see your subpar work? They're never going to want to come back.
Yeah.
Why don't you spend the next 6 months to a year just developing and making yourself better and making better and better content? And then once you have a house that you would be proud to bring in visitors in, then maybe look at ways to attract an audience. And it's like, and that's the thing. Everybody always asks the same question. How do I grow? How do I get more viewers? How do I grow? How do I get more viewers? And nobody ever asks, how do I improve myself? How do I improve my content? How do I make myself better at doing the stuff that I'm doing? And again, it's the same thing, Chris. Nobody wants to hear that.
No.
Everybody wants, what's the app I download to make my YouTube channel big? Or what's, and it's like, listen, guys, remember, you're talking to the wrong guy about that. In perspective, I have a tiny YouTube channel. I'm a fucking nobody. I don't say that to be falsely modest or anything like that. Like, I hang out with guys like the Fine Brothers and whatever, who like, they have real YouTube channels. Like, you want to talk about how do I just get millions and millions and millions? Well, I guess go talk to them, because I am a tiny, 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 barely relevant YouTube channel comparatively when you look at the numbers of some of the real serious YouTube channels. So if you ever want to talk to me about how do I make my content better, great conversation. If you want to just come to say, John, how do I make my channel grow? You're not going to like the answer that I'm going to give you. So anyway, there's just that. Yeah. All right. What's next? Somebody in the live chat. How do I win the lottery?
Try really, really hard.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to lie. Ann and I just took a trip out to Vegas because we wanted to go see the USC play in the Las Vegas Bowl this weekend. And we stopped in Baker, Nevada, that's where we stopped at the Tesla charging station there, charge up, went in. I bought $60 of the Mega Millions tickets because it was like $1.3 billion. I admit I went in there and I bought a couple of those tickets. And you know what? We got back in the car. We didn't check the tickets because we had left the tickets in the car. We got back in the car on Sunday morning and the draw was on Friday. And we opened up you get this California lottery app and you just scan the ticket and it tells you if you're a winner, and it instantly came up green. Your ticket is a winner. $6.
Hell yeah, dude.
We won the lottery. We won $6, which means we lost 54. But hey, we won $6. All right, what's next?
Scotty says, do you think Mega Man is too obscure of a game to make into a movie?
Nah.
No, but I don't think you lean on nostalgia for it. You just make a really good film and use that IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a great move. Just make a great movie.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, look, it's not popular enough that you can just rely on the name.
Right.
To bring, like Mario Brothers, right? There's a certain amount of box office you're going to just start with because it's Mario Brothers. You may not get that with Mega Man, but you can still make a great movie around it and make something really successful. All right, what's next?
Blues Davidson Martinez says, "Hey John, 12:31 a.m. hit, and like always on an early Tuesday morning, I checked to see the new releases and was shocked to see Wicked on Vudu is releasing this now, going to just hurt the box office."
And it certainly won't help. We talked about this a little bit the other day. It's not on streaming yet. It's on VOD, right? So it's not like people can just open up the. Where did we establish it came from again? Warner Brothers, Universal.
Universal, I believe.
So at some point, it's just going to be on Peacock, and you're going to be able to go watch it there. But it's not at that point yet. Like, yeah, if you want to drop $25 and watch it right now, you can. So it won't hurt it as much as if it went onto Peacock right now. Not as much, but it certainly won't help.
They're also releasing that now. They're making times for sing-along.
Yes, actually, it's funny. Anne's got this friend she worked with at Hasbro, wonderful girl who been watching our show for a long time. I think has watched our show even before Anne met her. Her name's Vi. And Viv and Anne asked me yesterday, "Do you want us to get tickets for the Wicked sing-along?" And I'm like, no. I mean, I love Wicked. I do. I think the movie's magnificent. It's going to get nominated for Best Picture. I have no desire to sit in an auditorium on a sing-along for that. When I don't know any of the songs. I don't know any of the songs.
But you know that one.
I know that note.
That part.
I know
That's
that
the song,
part.
actually.
And if you want to find me, look to the western sky. I think that's it. Maybe I got the line right.
Yeah. Every musical theater girly in the world is like, this is my moment.
This is my
This is my time, finally. Oh, man.
Someone in the theater, there's going to be a producer in that theater with me sitting
Yeah.
2 rows down who's going to hear my voice and know I'm the next star.
I've gotten so much shit during these like sing-along advertisements from all my friends back in Texas who are like, hey, you want to relive like 2003 where you would get drunk at parties and sing from Wicked? I'm like, man, I've grown, you guys.
Was that
Now
you?
I only get drunk at karaoke.
Around here, we call that Wednesdays.
Yeah. This is the joy of not having children. I
You
can
get-
do this whenever I want.
You guys don't see what happens in here before the cameras start rolling. All
Lock
right.
it in with my bottle of champagne.
Actually, I start the live feed early. I just don't tell you guys.
All right. What's next?
Mo says it's crazy to think that whoever wins the NFC North comes Sunday night, the loser, despite being relegated to a wild card team, will still have a phenomenal record of 14-3. Compare that to a record of an NFC South Division winner. Chris, what do you say?
Whoa.
Yeah. Look,
A lot of variables.
right now, for those of you who don't follow, this is kind of
What
interesting.
say you?
Even if you're not a sports fan, this is kind of interesting. So in the NFC, the NFL has 2 main divisions, the NFC and the AFC. In the NFC, there are 2 teams that are 14-2. The Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, both having an incredible year. And right now, they're fighting it out. They have a game scheduled for the last week of the season next week. Whichever team wins finishes as the number 1 team overall in the NFC and has the number 1 seed and home field advantage through the playoffs. The loser of that game is going to become the first 14-win team in NFL history that doesn't win their division.
Oh.
And because they're not in the NFL, winning your division means you get one of the top ranks. If the Minnesota Vikings lose, Chris, they'll be 14-3.
Yeah, Chris.
And in the first week of the playoffs, they're going to get dumped all the way down to the 5th seed, and they're going to have to play on the road in Tampa Bay, who conceivably is going to be 9-8. But Tampa Bay will be a division. They'll win their division, and
So being
they'll
really
get home
good
field
still
advantage.
sucks for
Look
you.
how hard it's concentrating.
And so, like, this whole idea about there's a 14-win team that is going to be ranked lower than a 9-win team, and they're going to have to go on the road and play in their home stadium.
Hey,
Winning your
and there's
division
18
matters.
games in a season, Chris, to put in perspective.
17.
So
But-
14, 17.
So
So
is
14
it
is
like
a lot of
What would be
Relegation?
amazing though is if they end up grinding it out and then winning it all.
Okay.
Would be crazy.
Oh, Chris.
Godspeed.
All right. Anyway, what's next?
Eddie Burton says, crazy statistic I just read. By the time Batman 2 hits theaters in 2027, Robert Pattinson will be the same age Ben Affleck was when he was announced to be Batman in 2014.
Yeah, I think he's going to be 41.
Oh, dang.
Twilight Boy is going to be 41
Twilight
years
Man to
old.
you.
Yeah, Twilight Man. He's going to be 41.
Hell yeah.
If I heard that right, I think he's going to be 41 in 2027. and which is a kind of a wild thought. It's a really wild thought. I don't know.
That's the problem.
Matt Reeves is the new George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude, just write the damn thing
Your
already.
actors are aging out.
All right, what's next?
Michael Jones with a $20 tip says, in response to your super chat yesterday wanting World War Hulk as the next Avengers movie, besides the reasons you gave, do you think they will ever do World War Hulk without the distribution right to a Hulk movie that Universal owns?
I mean, yeah, first of all, thank you for tipping in that much and supporting us on that level. Obviously that would be the big hurdle, is Marvel is going to have to work out that issue with Universal still. It's a very complicated interwoven web thing about rights and whatever, and they would have to get that worked out with Universal. Marvel has the production rights to make a Hulk movie if they want. They have every right to make a Hulk movie. The caveat on that is, if Marvel makes a Hulk movie, Universal automatically gets the rights to distribute that movie. They don't want any part of that. Marvel doesn't want to make a movie that somebody else distributes. They do it with Spider-Man and Sony. Sony distributes the Spider-Man movies, but they got no choice in that. They don't want to do that with Hulk. And so, yes, they would have to get that cleared up, and I'm sure they could. I'm sure if Marvel really wanted to do a World War Hulk movie, they would pay Universal whatever they need to pay to get those things back. But anyway, I would love to see it. I just don't know that they're in a position to do it with or without the Universal issue. All right, what's next?
Harvest K says, Happy New Year, crew. Here's a few movie cliches I'd like to see a moratorium for 2025. Sudden T-bone car crash from the driver's point of view. That one drives me nuts because it assumes the driver doesn't have peripheral vision. Slowed down, creepified versions of well-known songs in trailers. Having children sing those songs. The Akira bike slide.
The Akira bike slide? How dare you?
Not from Akira, but like other people like copying it.
Yeah, I love it when it's in things. When it's in Sonic 3, oh my
Yeah.
god. It's the best.
Stop.
Yeah,
reading
it really did become a big thing in trailers for a trailer to take a popular pop song, but do a slow, creepy version of it.
I will. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let them keep the slow, creepy songs if they take out the speed ramp boo sound effect in a.
Sure.
As soon as I hear that sound in the trailer, I'm checked out. I'm like, F this trailer.
That's fair.
Still to this day, because I still see it in TV shows and movies all the time, my most hated cliche is "Meet me at Death Peak."
Please.
Which, for those of you who don't know what Meet Me on Death Peak is, I've talked about this before. This is the worst, and you see it in 1,000 TV shows and movies. All right. So I'll just create a scenario that's happened in a million different movies. I'm currently trying to figure out who a killer is. All right. And Chris calls me on the phone and says, John. I'm like, yeah, Chris. And she says,
You gotta meet me at Death Peak.
I found
Wow,
it.
Nailed it.
I found the key to this whole mystery. And I'm like, well, what is it? And she says, not on the phone. Meet me at Death Peak at midnight. As a viewer, you immediately know Chris ain't gonna make it to Death Peak.
Well, no, in real life too.
Yeah.
Midnight? Are we out of
Or
our minds?
She'll get to Death Peak
Sleep
before
by
me,
8:30.
and somebody will push her off Death Peak, right? We've seen it 1,000 times. Not on the phone. Meet me at somewhere, and you know, oh, they're never gonna meet.
Yeah.
That guy's gonna die, and they still do it to this day. So many times, I hate that cliche.
Yo, mine is let's split up. That's it.
Yeah, let's
split up. No, we're not. I'm staying with you the whole time. If we're gonna die, both of us are gonna die. The let's split up thing, for whatever reason, there's no timer, no nothing. Let's walk through this whole thing together.
Yeah, that's one and one of the big other ones still continue to see to this day. Two other ones that I really, really hate. One is if you have a main guy or main girl in a movie who's in love with somebody else, and that person is already with a partner, that partner is an asshole.
Well, yeah, because you deserve everything,
Yeah, I mean, I
even
hate
someone
that.
else's relationship.
And the other one that is, and I see this all the time, movies and TV shows. Sex is messy. And every time I see these movies,
A TV show? Come on, man.
where people like they'll be They'll be in some glitzy party, some high posh events, slip into the closet, bang one out, and then just walk out as if everything's okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not how it works.
That is though.
Yes, that part.
That was
is.
The
accurate.
initial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The aftermath is
yeah.
the conveniently.
Yes.
I always love the sheet that does not move over somebody.
Yes.
Like,
Well,
this is gonna stay here.
double-sided tape.
Yeah.
Or the waking up beautiful hair.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Never me, friend.
Perfect. Perfect hair. Perfect. Everything looks great.
This was me after combing it, and I still look like one of the hobbits. In the morning, it's just like,
Come on.
man.
All right. What's next?
Where are we? Ethan Holgate has a two-parter. My favorite movies of 2024: The Beekeeper, Roadhouse remake, Deadpool. For a while, I thought he was trolling us there. Kinds of Kindness. No, he's trolling us. Speak No Evil remake, Kneecap Irish. Oh, I never heard of that. Challengers, Alien Romulus. Yeah. Honora, The Substance. Wow. Oh wait, he's a two-parter. Okay. Oh, the worst films: Madam Web, Monkey Man, Venom, The Crow remake, Miller's Girl, Kraven the Hunter, and most disappointing one was Argyle Ghostbusters. And
know what?
Bad Boys 4.
I almost put Monkey Man on my list too.
Wow, you didn't like it?
No, I didn't. It got a lot of people were raving about
Yeah,
it, and
I
I
thought
got
so
so
too.
excited about it. And I watched it. I'm like, what are you talking? This movie is not that good. Anyway,
What about Tarot?
what's that?
Tarot. Remember that one?
Oh, gosh.
With Ned. Remember Ned
From Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Tarot.
Jacob Bartolone.
Yeah. Remember that horror movie that
Yeah.
they showed at cinema?
Yeah.
So we didn't hear about it because there's a good reason we didn't hear about it.
But I don't want to go over your best of the films list because I'm going to have a best of the films coming
Right.
up. But let's just say a couple of the ones you got on there will make mine as well. All right, what's next?
Darth AI says, with how vulgar and violent Lobo is, does this make it more likely that Supergirl will be rated R?
No.
Also, do you think Lobo will be introduced in Superman with Supergirl and maybe a post-credit scene? Maybe he drops an F-bomb to indicate it will be R-rated.
No.
The rating would indicate that.
Yeah, no. Supergirl, they will not. Listen, if James Gunn does a Lobo movie, that'll be rated R. They will not make Supergirl a rated R movie.
Nah.
That one's not going to be rated R. So,
Well, Lobo's not going to be the factor that makes Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow a R-rated film either.
right.
The content of that story is what has the potential
yeah,
to go R-rated.
right.
Don't think they will.
Yeah,
But
neither
still,
do I.
it's a story about like revenge and all kinds of horrific killings and things like that. It's a brutal story. Pick up the comic at your local comic shop. Go do that first, and then
you go.
Lobo's there, and he can do whatever he wants. And they'll just kind of sci-fi cuss stuff where
Yeah.
he'll say
I
frat.
don't think we're going to see him in Superman, though. I think they got enough going on. I mean, we're going to meet Supergirl in Superman, but I don't think we're going to meet Lobo.
And I
then.
believe, I could be wrong, I believe James Gunn said they're not leaning on post-credit scenes to introduce more characters in the world.
Yeah.
which
It
is
will be
good.
like, if there's a post-credit scene, it's with the characters in the movie.
Perfect.
All right,
I
what's
like
next?
that.
Amin says, what do you think the chances are that Nolan's Odyssey is actually more than one film? I don't think they'll do a trilogy, but there's a chance they do it as two parts. Also, it's Sir Christopher Nolan now. I didn't know he got knighted. Anyway, thanks for everything. Happy New Year's.
I did not know he got knighted. Was it King Charles? Did Charles knight
I'll
him?
look it up. Oh, he did?
He did.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I did not. When did this happen?
Very recently, I think also Carrie Mulligan, I think, is
Interesting.
been made a Dane. I'm not sure.
I had two very different interactions. The first one was with Ben Kingsley, and I was firmly reminded to address him as Sir Ben Kingsley.
Mm.
Then after that, I had to get together with Anthony Hopkins. Remembering my experience at the Ben Kingsley one, I went to Anthony Hopkins. This is just the difference. And by the way, I love Ben Kingsley. Don't misinterpret me. I love Ben Kingsley. But then going into Anthony Hopkins, and I said, Sir Anthony, it's really a pleasure to meet you. As we were shaking hands.
Mhm.
By the way, the man has huge hands. So shaking hands with Anthony Hopkins, I said, Sir Anthony, it's really an honor to me. He goes, Sir Anthony, oh dear boy. And he pulls me in and gives me a hug. I'm like, this is the greatest day ever. But yeah, so very different attitudes about
Yeah.
the
he just
Sir
likes his cat
connotation.
and stuff. He doesn't care.
He's so sweet. I have a family
He's
member
great.
who did rehab out here in California and actually spent a lot of time with Anthony Hopkins because he's been sober for many years and spends a lot of time giving up his time to help other addicts. And my family member would be like, "Oh yeah, me and Tony were hanging out." Like, you and Sir Anthony Hopkins? Like, yeah, me and Tony. It blew my mind. He's a sweet, sweet man.
All right, what's next?
Nick says, sometimes Jonathan says the funniest stuff in the podcast that everyone misses. Story of my life. I just want Jonathan to know that I hear it all and die laughing. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Nick, there are so many times where Jonathan knows that he said something funny that's murdered me. And you'll see the wide shot, and he's just back to just doing ones and
Yeah,
twos.
just like this, and
while
you're just
I'm
like convulsing.
I'm glad you're getting your flowers, though, buddy.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
great.
All right, what's next?
We got Tron, who says, 10 worst of 2024. Okay, so Roadhouse at number 10.
You know what? I liked Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Didn't love it. Not gonna be on any of my best films of the year list.
Right.
I had fun with Roadhouse. Okay.
Beekeepers number 9. Red 1 was number 8. 7, Ricky Stenicki. 6, Dear Santa. Oh, I forgot about these. 5, Joker. Joker 2. 4 would be Harold and the Purple Crayon. 3 is Craven. Let's see. And then 2 is Madam Web. And then 1, Borderlands. Painful movie going experience.
Oof.
Yeah, again, Borderlands was on my list. I just didn't find its badness that offensive as like the ones higher on my list. But yeah, it was on my list too. Yeah. Some great movies this year, man, but also some pretty bad ones. All right, what's next?
All right, Ray's 40X Adult Theater. Says, wishing y'all a very happy and filthy year.
Thank you
Oddly
so much,
enough,
man.
in his 40X Adult Theater, it's just images of chicken wings and food.
But
Yeah.
if you
He's
go in
very
there in a
passionate about
trench
his
coat,
food.
so help him God.
Somebody once said to me, you should do like the top 5 filthiest movies of the year.
Oh no.
That are legitimate Hollywood produced movies, like filthiest. I did not put together such a list, but I can probably tell you if I did make such a list, probably at the top of that list would be Anora. Yeah, if you're looking, it's one of those rare times you can say, if you are looking for spectacular cinema and really filthy, Anora's your film.
Where's that streaming on?
I think you got to rent it on VOD
Oh,
right
that's
now.
too much.
All right, that's
It's off
I'll
camera.
wait.
Anonymous says, hey, John, did you hear about the Hoppers Pixar situation? I love Pixar, but I found the situation disheartening and overreach of Disney's part. What are your thoughts? I just feel like that's... I don't feel like
I don't
Yeah,
even
that's
know what
not-
Hoppers is.
I don't even feel like we're getting the full story, but the fact that people think that like Hoppers, this new movie, it's gonna like focus less on recycling and
Yeah.
stuff, just seems kind of a weak thing. Like, I don't.
Supposedly, studio executives said that the Hoppers film, which is about a girl who I believe becomes a little like beaver, or
The little
something
beaver
like that,
character.
Oh, yeah, we saw a preview
Yeah,
video
yeah.
in the Macon.
that
Okay.
they need to not make the focus on this very environmental science.
Oh, wait a
forward.
second. Okay, wait. Is this the one where nobody's on record is actually saying that? Just somebody is saying that somebody said that?
On
Yeah.
Reddit?
A staffer said.
Ignore
So it's
the,
just like-
yeah, some unknown
Yeah.
person. Yeah, ignore
Sources
that. And
say.
it didn't come from the Hollywood Reporter or Variety or anything. It came from like Reddit. Yeah, who cares?
I really don't
ignore-
think-
I would just ignore that story altogether. Don't give it any legs.
I don't think recycling is all that political hot button issue. You either recycle or you don't. Isaac says, with Jurassic World, Superman, and Fantastic Four all coming out on the same month, following each other's each week, will one of them move due to aiming the same audience? Great for fans, maybe not for box office. Jurassic World, Superman,
You know what? You know what we just had happen? We just had Sonic and Mufasa open on the same week.
And then they catch up to the other in the
And
second week.
what we saw was in week 1 that they both opened, Sonic way outperformed Mufasa.
Domestically, yeah.
Guess what happened in the following week? Mufasa completely caught up because people who wanted to see both went to go see one weekend and went to go see another the next weekend. Now Mufasa is about $100 million ahead of Sonic worldwide. But anyway, so what that tells us is that I think as long as they're not dropping on the same week, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, will one move? Maybe the one might want to space it out a little bit more, but honestly, I think they'll be fine the way they are. If anything, they might want to capitalize on the momentum of, I don't know which order they come out in, but it's like, hey, I just saw Fantastic Four and I had a great time. You know what? Superman's opening next week. Awesome. Let's go. So they may want to actually ride the momentum of that. So yeah, it's possible one may move. I have a feeling they'll all stay where they are. All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, just curious, any of you guys see the clip of a martial arts master hitting himself in the balls, getting kicked in the balls, and hitting himself with a brick in the balls? Well, that's how us Cleveland Browns fans feel. Hope you all have a happy new year.
I just want to remind my good friends who are Cleveland Brown fans that this weekend, Baker Mayfield, who you ran out of town, threw for over 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. Meanwhile, the guy you ran him out of town for, Deshaun Watson, is getting ready for his 17th lawsuit against him and still producing nothing for your team. I could see why you guys would be frustrated. I completely do. They were just starting to show signs of life, and then you guys thought you saw the shinier thing over there in Deshaun Watson, and you ran the guy out of town who got you to the playoffs, and now he's lighting it up. You know, Baker Mayfield is second in the NFL in passing yards and second in the NFL in touchdowns. Deshaun Watson is near the bottom of everything. Anyway, yeah, I totally get why. But hey, you guys got the Cavaliers, and I think they're like number 1 in the NBA right now. So you guys got that going for you. So there's that. All right, what's next?
Sir Z says, Merry New Year's, guys, taken from Trading Places. Do you think the Batman sequel script hadn't started because of the Penguin show? Just a thought. Anyway, thank you for the great 2024. Wishing you all a healthy, peaceful, and prosperous new year. Blade 2026. It may have slowed it down.
No,
but
it wouldn't have even remotely slowed it down. You know why?
he didn't.
Why?
Matt Reeves isn't writing
He
the
didn't write
Penguin
it.
scripts.
He oversaw it, but he didn't write it.
Matt Reeves has had 3 years to work on this Batman 2 script. Since finishing working on the first Batman, he's had 3 years. I understand. And again, I'm saying this as somebody who loves Matt Reeves and loves what he did with the first Batman movie. But I'm just saying, I understand that, hey, you know what? There was a strike. Disrupted a lot of stuff. Oh, I get it. You know why I get it? Because there were a bunch of other movies that got disrupted too. And almost all of them have come out. Meanwhile, you still don't have a script? Come on. Again, that's why I'm saying Matt Reeves is genius, but he's lazy or slow. Take your pick. It's one or the other. And he is George R.R. Martin 2.0. Get around to it. Get around to it. You've had 3 years. You're a good enough creative writer that you could have had a script by now. So anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. And I'm saying this as somebody who loves the guy. All right. And I'm just butthurt about it because I want the next Batman movie. But he's had 3 years. Anyway. All right, what's next? It had nothing to do with the Penguin. Had nothing to do with Penguin. All right, what's next?
The Dumb of All Fears says, hey, John and crew, my movie recap of 2024, most disappointing. Furiosa was most anticipated, but I ended up enjoying very little about it. Interesting. My worst, Speak No Evil. Personally, even within the context of the movie, character decisions just made me angry. Biggest surprise, My Old Ass, not a movie that was on my radar, probably on very few
that
people's
ended
radar.
up being really good.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful movie. Go watch it. My best movie was Anora. It brought the filthy, the surprising warmth, and the heartbreak. It really stuck with me.
I was just talking about Honora. We'll talk about Honora a little bit more this week. I loved Furiosa.
I did too.
didn't. I was bummed.
Oh,
And I
really?
think part of it too, though, I also, because Logan and I did a review and we also talked about how I think because we didn't see it on IMAX, some of it just looked clunky on a smaller screen.
It did.
I could get that.
And
yeah.
so that was a thing. And then I also, and I know that I'm saying this as somebody who doesn't like spooky movies or a lot of like gore and things, I was expecting this to be more violent. And I don't know, it felt like a little sanitized.
I didn't think it was as good as Mad Max Fury Road,
Sure.
but I still quite enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. All right, what's next?
Dumb of All Fears. Oh no, we read that. Mr. I says, due to my financial constraints, especially after having an amputation in June, I only was able to see 4 movies in the theater. 3 of 4 were awesome. The 4th was Venom 3, which was mid. For me, Sonic 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, and number 1, Alien Romulus.
Wow.
I loved Alien Romulus.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, I loved all those movies.
Sonic 3 was so good.
Yeah.
Sonic 3, though, is just one of those franchises where one of the things I feel like it never will hit the billion mark is because you really have to suspend disbelief. Now it's a franchise that's built on that. There's a big accident, and then all of a sudden the admiral or the general of the secret society just shows up and has a conversation with you, or just little things will happen. It's like, oh well, I'll just believe that. Like, you literally have to just set aside most of your disbelief.
Well, it is
feel like
about a
that's every
walking,
Marvel
talking,
and
running
DC
hedgehog.
But it's built in.
Sure.
But a lot of people can't do that. They'll be like, this is silly. I can do it, and I love it.
I love it.
But
Yeah.
I wore my Sonic socks, Ray.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did.
I was all geared out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third one was my least favorite of the Sonic movies, but I still had a wonderful time with it. Like, I really enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot more than 2.
But it
I
is
really enjoyed it.
not doing great
Well,
at the box office right now. Like, it's trailing Mufasa by like over $100 million already in
It's-
just the second week.
it's swimming with some sharks.
It is. It is.
So.
All right, what's next?
let's see. We got Daniel Vasquez says, here's my top 5 worst films of 2024. 1, Am I Racist? 2, Not Another Church Movie. 3, Ryan's World. Oh man, that Ryan's World trailer looks so bad. Titan Universe Adventure. 4, Bonhoeffer. 5, The Crow, Before You Asked. Craven the Hunter and Madam Web are bad, but they're in my honorable.
Wow.
I can
Another
proudly
Church-
say I skipped all those movies.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah, a lot
see
of those I
any
skipped.
those.
I
Yeah.
didn't hear it.
Daniel, you
half
might
of
be a
those.
glutton for punishment.
Yeah, yeah. There's just something when you look at something, you know if it's going to be terrible, and I will opt out. There was a time early in my career where I felt obligated to see almost every movie. I don't have to do that anymore. I allow myself, when I see a movie that I think, yeah, that looks pretty darn horrible, I don't need to see it, and I just take a pass on them. All right, what's next?
Okay. Bat J says, hey, John and Cruz, saw The Brutalist this weekend, which was interesting. At 3.5 hours, we didn't get started until 29 minutes after the show because they played the AMC ad not once, but twice. Sometimes that'll happen. It runs twice on the file. A nice caveat is there was a 15-minute intermission. Oh, so that's cool that they did that at AMC, because I went and saw it at the Vista Theater, which is Tarantino. He rebuilt that the old famous theater. And
They didn't have the intermission?
They did there.
Okay, yeah,
So
because
I
think
wasn't
the
sure if they did it.
filmmaker- Yeah, the filmmaker actually built it into the movie.
Okay. I didn't know if
That's
that was a Vista thing or.
Yeah, at 3.5 hours, you gotta have an intermission.
Yeah.
But at the Vista, it was 25 minutes, which I felt was a little too long.
Oh, that's very long.
Yeah, you can actually leave at that point.
Yeah.
Personally, I still fully endorse the idea of movies that are, say, over 2.5 hours long.
I'm 100% for it.
Yeah.
Any movie over 2.5 hours long, have a 5 to 10 minute intermission.
Because we're not talking about this odd cut where it's like, it's like the way films were built or were created back then. And if you are creating it for that purpose, you have this moment of this like climax, and then it fades into this natural intermission, and then you can come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, the benefits of a quick intermission in an exceptionally long movie. Number one, you're going to have fewer people walking in front of you to go in and out of the bathroom because they know, hey, we've got a bathroom break coming up. You're going to have fewer people getting up and down because I suddenly feel snacky. They know they have a break coming up. You're going to have fewer people pulling out their phones because they know, hey, in a little bit, I'm going to be able to go into the hallway, or I'm going to be able to pull up my phone and check my messages. I just think it would equal, and you're going to have less people missing parts of the movie. Again, I don't think they should do it for every movie, but like movies over 2.5 hours, I just think there's a lot of benefits to having a quick intermission. Anyway. All right, what's next?
We got Tron, who says, I forgot dishonorable mentions: Ghostbusters, Killer's Game, Beetlejuice 2, Jackpot, Divorce in the Black, and Trap.
What is Divorce in Black? I'm not familiar with
know.
that
I don't
one.
know that one. I'm not. I can Google
Trap.
it.
Why does that sound
Trap
familiar?
was
Oh,
the
that's
one that's
the,
the M. Night Shyamalan one.
Yes, right. Okay.
It was so good for acts 1 and 2, and then just collapsed on.
Oh,
act
it's a
3.
Tyler Perry movie. On Prime Video.
You're talking about the
Divorce in
divorce.
Black.
Okay, now we're talking about Trap.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Trap. Oh, it's a Tyler Perry movie.
Oh,
No,
no.
pretty sure that wasn't a Tyler
Divorce
Perry
in the
movie.
Black is the Tyler Perry one, and then Trap was the M. Night Shyamalan one.
I
Right.
didn't mind Trap.
It just had potential to be excellent.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
That's the ending with him in the police car, and it was like,
Yeah.
smile. It's like, okay, so it's
Yeah.
one of those things. I still overall, I kind of had fun with it. I thought
I
it was all
enjoyed
right.
it, and
Yeah.
I do think that we are all conditioned so much to go, okay, there's a twist coming, and because
Yeah.
there wasn't a twist in this one, and I know I felt this way, where it was like, wait, no, he's just some creep who kills people. No one knows. Okay,
Yeah, wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be because the trailer was great.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I didn't mind the movie. All right, what's
All right,
next?
7 more. Anonymous says my worst films of the year. 10 was Venom 3, 9 Boy Kills World. I still want to see that. Rebel Moon, Borderlands, followed by Imaginary, then Garfield, Craven, The Exorcism, The Crow, and then Megaflopolis was number 1.
Megaflopolis. Bring up that list again.
Sure.
So I never did watch Boy Kills World. That was in and out of theaters so
was
fast.
I still want to stream it though.
But I heard it was a harmless film. I heard it was just, it was like Shoot 'em Up. Remember the movie Shoot 'em Up? It like great plot and all that kind of stuff. No, but it was just kind of fun in there for creating these action sequences.
Yeah. Did you ever see Guns Akimbo with
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Guns Akimbo.
Yeah, I like that one a
movie's
lot, too.
Nuts.
Lionsgate, Boy Kills World.
Yeah, it's just another Lionsgate. That one came in and out of theaters so fast. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Anonymous says goodbye 2024. You scared the crap out of me at the beginning when my daughter Robin was 11 weeks premature. I'm sorry you guys had to go through all of that. Thank you to the John Campea Show for a respite during those weeks. But when she came home, best day of our lives, I imagine. Excited for our wedding in 25 and Blade 2020 never.
2020 never.
Cutting to Ray. Okay.
It was all sweet.
It was all sweet.
All
and
sweet.
throw that in there.
Until we
That
had
sour end.
What does that say on your screen?
Where's Blade?
Blade.
I just noticed that.
That will remain up
Until we
until
get it.
it comes out. I should have a little countdown. How many days?
Oh,
1,
yeah.
2, 3.
Where
Well,
where
how
is
many
Blade?
days late are we from the original announced release date of Blade? How far? We are now 735 days, or how many days it's been since they announced Blade? How many days has it been since they announced Blade?
Well, let's not do that. Let's just do from the day I put this up. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Because it'll even be more effective.
Sounds good to
Let
me.
me put it this way. How many days late? We're definitely pregnant.
We're definitely pregnant at this point.
John Henry Walker says, is it strange that 2024 was a much better year for comic book shows based than movies, at least on DC's side? The finale of Superman and Lois, The Penguin, and Creature Commandos. Well, that was the DCEU collapse, like finally coming to an end. I mean,
Well, I mean, Superman didn't have anything to do with the DCEU.
no.
I mean, look, just Penguin alone. Dear heavens, that was so good. I mean, what did we have that was really great? We had a couple. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
What other comic book movie?
Marvel kind of slowed down because they were kind of retooling.
Yep,
so.
Marvel. This was the only movie they had coming
Yeah.
out this year.
We didn't even have any on streaming, really.
Well, I mean, they
Any
had
movies
What
like-
If, and they had.
I meant movie-wise, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't have any movies.
It was all shows on DC.
Well, Marvel
Plus.
doesn't really make movies to go straight to streaming.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
They
just
should.
again, and you had another season of Invincible. Although I didn't love this season of Invincible.
It was all right.
But Penguin by itself made the
Penguin was great.
comic book stuff on television was better than the stuff other than Deadpool and Wolverine. But that was the only one. Deadpool and Wolverine was the only great comic book thing in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Ronetta says, hola, Chris. Good to see you, girl. What's up, everyone? I love that last episode of Skeleton Crew. My favorite so far. Looking forward to the next one today. Oh, it's
Today.
today.
Oh, I am so excited about this.
There was one moment in that last one that I hate. One moment I hated. It's when she hits the thing and the mud comes out, and you hear the music cue. I'm just like, dude,
I kind of loved it.
I
It's
hated
very,
it.
it's very cute and like Goonies coded.
One of the best moments in any Star Wars series ever, though, was like they show up at the planet and very like unto the Millennium Falcon showing up on Bespin with the two ships flying alongside and say, welcome to whatever, where all things are. But then the pirates show up and the welcome, just a bang, bang, and it blows them out of the sky.
That was the best. I love
I
that part.
laughed so hard. And the revered elders. I'm just like, I don't know. It killed me. I loved last week's episode. I can't, if there was any one reason for Ann and I, for the first time in forever, not going out on New Year's Eve, it's because we want to watch Skeleton Crew. We're just going to get our dogs. We're going to have some popcorn, maybe order some food, and we're just going to settle in and watch Skeleton Crew. And this show is good enough to do that. So yeah, super happy about that. All right, what's next?
Ronetta follows up. Hi again. Did a double feature of Sonic and Mufasa this past weekend. Fun times. Mufasa was just okay. Songs were forgettable.
Yeah.
I literally, when I got home, I couldn't even like tell you one melody. Like,
Dude, as soon as I walked out of the theater, I turned to
I
Anna.
was
It's
like,
like,
what was the melodies?
I couldn't hum a single note from any of the
Yeah.
songs in this
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Going on, Aaron Pierre was great as a young Mufasa. Sonic was great. Fun times. Jim Carrey was hilarious. Sonic was more enjoyable. Overall, I agree.
Make no mistake about it. Every one of the Sonic movies, Jim Carrey steals.
Oh, yeah. And this particularly.
None more so than this movie.
Wow.
I to the point. Remember, I really like Sonic 3. I had a great time with it. I don't know what movie this is without Jim Carrey.
Yep.
Because remember, he originally wasn't going to come back for part 3.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know what they would have done if he didn't. The dance sequence
Yeah.
with Robotnik and his grandfather
Yeah. To the
is
Chemical
one of
Brothers
the
song.
funniest things I've seen on screen this year.
Don't hold back.
The oh
So
my
good.
God, it was so funny. Now where they're going to go with Robotnik after, I think he's clearly going to be back for 4 now.
Oh, you do?
I think
Yeah.
so.
He'll be back for 4. They'll figure that out. But I just don't know what they do without it, because this is really, it's not even Sonic's movie. It's Jim Carrey's movie in many ways. But yeah, I like him. All right, what's next?
Ronetta says, also, if you haven't seen the Beyonce Bowl yet on Netflix, check it out. Phenomenal. It amazes me every time how she can make every album sound better live. The all-white outfits, the HBCU band, etc. Every part of that show had a specific intention.
One of the big things
So
about the
good.
Christmas Day games was that Beyonce was doing the halftime show, and I missed it. I still haven't seen it, but I'm reading articles saying Beyonce just locked up the Grammys with this performance, and like okay, I'm gonna have to go watch it. I'm gonna do that this afternoon after the show's done.
It is a fabulous performance.
Yeah,
It is
she
so
killed.
good.
Remember, she did the Super Bowl halftime show a while ago too.
Oh, yeah.
She totally crushed that.
Well, and this also is so much a, hey, it's Christmas, and I understand it's not the Super Bowl, but I'm Beyonce.
She's like, step aside, Mariah.
Yeah, I am the Christmas queen. Thank you.
I remember this one thing. This was back when she was having her baby. Anne pulled up this picture of this guy just like totally freaking out, like about something, just like, it's like the baby coming out, finding out its mama is Beyonce or something like that. Like, yeah, it's Beyonce's world. We just live in it. All right, what's next?
Okay, final tip here is Anonymous Chris is right. Kinds of Kindness was not good, but Jesse Plemons putting on the tape was pretty hilarious.
Oh, that moment.
You know, I'll be honest with you. Even that didn't do much for me.
Oh.
I mean, I think Jesse Plemons is a tremendous
He's
actor.
wonderful. I love Jesse Plemons.
I've hated him ever since Breaking Bad, and hated him in a good way.
Yeah,
Because he makes a great
he's
villain.
so good at that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things of, I know what you're going to put on. I know what you're going to do. I know this is coming, and oh dear God, phrasing. Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what? With all the great stuff Jesse Plemons has done, and he's done some award stuff, my favorite Jesse Plemons thing is still as the next door neighbor.
Yeah, in Game Night.
Game Night? Yes. Yeah.
It's one of the best like side characters in a comedy.
Oh,
If you guys haven't seen Game Night yet and see Jesse Plemons in that, he's just a secondary character
Yeah.
at best.
and he's
But
amazing.
he kills it in that so much. Anyway. And guys, that'll do it for today's installment, the final installment of 2024 of the John Campea Show podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
You guys.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys next year.
Chris Carr.
Bye. Be safe tonight. Be courteous.
Yes, guys, listen, every year say the same thing. Don't let it just become white noise in the background. It's not just a saying. Do not drink and drive.
No.
I don't care if you feel like, oh, I'm willing to risk it for yourself. You're putting other people on the road at risk who don't get a vote. Don't drink and drive.
Uber.
Plan your
Lyft.
Uber, plan your designated driver, do whatever you need to do tonight. Don't just keep yourself safe, keep everybody on the road safe tonight, please. That's really the most important thing. And make sure you are alive to come back for tomorrow's show, where I'm going to go over another one of my year lists. I'm not quite sure which list it's going to be yet, but make sure you come and join me for that. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for us. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.